All right, hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. We are from an eerily quiet Dakota Valley High School and Gymnasium here in North Sioux City and getting ready. It's our first serve live show and getting ready for another big rivalry game, 1 versus 2 in Class A.
Yeah, definitely a state championship rivalry rematch, if you will. One of those exciting matchups that, since they're in the same conference, they play multiple times a year, each year, both in regular season and postseason. So excited to see what this friendly rivalry brings us tonight.
Yeah, and two of the teams that we've talked about have been at the top of Class A for most of the past decade on and off, and winners of the last several state championships, and two. Have faced off in the state championship game the past 2 years. That memorable 5-set game 2 years ago in Rapid City, and kind of that comeback season for Dakota Valley. Coach Miller's first year, Allie Beersford, playing with a bunch of younger athletes in a great match, and then the dynasty that's become Sioux Falls Christian.
Yeah, two programs really, and I know we talk so much about this, the Warner Northwestern match, but definitely two programs that, obviously they're going to go up and down throughout the years with the different athletes that they may or may not have, but two programs that do the little things right, and I think that's what's going to make for a great match here tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those that they kind of judge their program by the other in a way, right? They know at some point to get to where they want to be at the end of the season, they're going to have to beat the other one probably in most years, and they also both play similar schedules with going to tournaments in Iowa and playing a lot of out-of-state tough competitions, and the proximity and being in, like you said, the same conference, and so they kind of measuring stick with each other, and what was it, 2 years ago, your first year with us, and everybody was talking about, Sioux Falls Christian, and kind of like we are this year, and then Dakota Valley down 0-2, remember that match on that Tuesday night, and come back and beat them, and everyone's like, whoa, game on, and that's what a rivalry does, and, depending on, I know Sioux Falls Christian's been off to such a hot start and so dominant so far, and Dakota Valley struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks, but in a rivalry you expect a tight match tonight.
Yeah, I think Sioux Falls Christian has played so much more volleyball as of so far this year, so I think that's where you kind of see them being able to clean up throughout the play. And then, Dakota Valley, this is just their 6th or 7th match. Right. Just talking to Coach, how much this Pentagon tournament is going to mean to them this weekend, and how much they can learn about themselves. And what happens here tonight does not determine the rest of the season. And these two teams have proven that time and time again, that just because one team wins during the regular season doesn't mean that they, check that box off and automatically are the winners for that year. So I think that's what's fun about this rivalry too.
Yeah, before we get farther into our show with some player interviews, some coaches interviews, and talking about what's going on in the rest of the state. Exciting time, and we've talked a lot about momentum. This is kind of that point in the season, and, starting especially with this weekend with all the teams coming to the Pentagon tournament, and, this is the time where if coaches have been experimenting with different lineups, have been moving people in and out, now things get a little more solidified, and you start trying to build momentum. You know what you have. Yeah. Right, your weaknesses, your strengths, and you try building that momentum, because it's crazy to think that about 5 weeks away from, Class A and Class B starting postseason. So that halfway point, and teams are looking to build that momentum. But excited around the state with a couple of rematch games, and then just what we're looking forward to on Saturday. We're going to know a lot more about a lot of teams, including Dakota Valley, come Saturday night.
Yeah, and I think, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, you learn so much by the matches that you play. That's why tournaments are so important, because you play multiple matches in a day, and, what if your big hitter gets tired? Or what if, someone gets sick? Those things happen, and you kind of learn who you are when you're faced with adversity. I think that's what you're going to see when we start to hit, kind of the midpoint of the season and you're playing multiple people multiple times. You're going to have to beat them in different ways. These coaches aren't newbies. They know how to make a game plan, and they're going to try to fix what they maybe didn't do so well the last time. And I think, especially here tonight, that's going to be cool, as we see them most likely rematch later in the season. What's going to be different the second time that we see them play.
Yeah, and he was talking to Mary briefly and Coach Miller and talked about what they learned in the Harrisburg match, just a week ago, and a difficult night for them, and seeing what they might do differently or what they've improved on even since last week. But it's going to be one of those nights here, and there's some rivalries going on around the rest of the state. One of the cool things, if you just talk about the broad spectrum other than Dakota Valley, Sioux Falls Christian, is I think just the attendance this year. We've noted it when we've talked with Jason. He's noted it. We expect that tonight. The crowds and increased crowds. And I don't think it's just because people weren't allowed to go to matches last year. I think it's more excitement and better student sections. And everywhere we've gone, we've commented on the crowds. It's been really neat this fall.
And I think, you see people wanting to get out and about again, and I think, coming to these athletic events, and especially these volleyball events in South Dakota, it's because the level of South Dakota volleyball has really increased as of late, and it's so exciting to see. Obviously the girls notice it year one, and because they're actually in the matches, it may take a year or two to get those fans involved, and that's definitely what we have started to see this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on, take a quick break. Here's what's kind of to come with the rest of the show. We're going to have our South Dakota headlines. We're going to preview a big weekend at Sanford Pentagon. We're going to talk about a couple big matches going on tonight, especially with Chester and another one in Sioux Falls. And we're going to talk about some headlines. We're going to talk about one of our athletes playing for USA, and talk about some of those things as well. We're going to get some interviews from both head coaches and a couple, and that's kind of where we're going today on the First Serve show. If anybody has questions, again, they can message us on social media. We're around the air. We'd love to answer those. We have a couple already to talk about, but that's where we'll be going, and maybe we'll take a quick break here and come back see if our first guests are maybe ready.
All right, we are headed to break. Let's watch some Dakota Valley highlights as we head to it.
Hey,
Adrenaline Volleyball is looking for segment and site sponsors to help us to continue to provide ongoing volleyball coverage throughout the state of South Dakota. If your business or know of a business that might be interested in partnering with Adrenaline Volleyball, please contact us and partner with us to continue to provide growing support in the sport of volleyball here in South Dakota. Email us at director@afvolleyball.com. We'd love to partner with you and your business.
Welcome back, Adrenaline Volleyball watchers. Today we have a couple Dakota Valley athletes with us, and we're going to talk to them about their season and what we've got left here. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Tori Schultz. I'm a senior, and I'm a middle blocker.
I'm Logan Meller. I'm a junior, and I'm a setter.
I'm Kate Van Ryan. I'm a junior, and I am a libero.
So why don't we start off, and you guys can take turns, and whoever wants to go first can do whatever, but just talk about kind of your goals for this season, what you guys thought about where the season would take you from the beginning. So like when we saw you at SummerSlam, what you guys were looking to accomplish in this 2021 season.
Want me to take it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, the past couple years, we haven't ended where we wanted to end off, and it kind of gives us some motivation for the next season. I think at SummerSlam it really showed us what we need to work on, and we've come a lot further as a team, found out what we need to do to get better, and I think we're going to have a really good season. It's going good, and we have good chemistry, so it's exciting.
I think that our goals from the beginning of the season were to end up at state and, do what we haven't done the past 2 years. And I also think that we need to bond together as a team. That was really something we've been working on in our communication in our game. And another goal probably we should have is working really hard on our defense, because we're not a big team, but I think with our defense we can get a lot of places.
Yeah, as what they said. Our goals are just to have good team chemistry and just to make it to the state tournament.
Awesome. And Kate, as the defensive captain, as Coach mentioned earlier, you guys are, you're time and time again, year after year, one of the top Class A defensive teams. What does it take to lead a defense coming from the backcourt in the libero position?
Just to have a lot of communication. That's a big thing, and just to talk all the time. Yeah.
And what do you look for, Logan, from a libero? How do you kind of lean on her? Because as a setter, of course, you have to communicate plenty too. Obviously, you're a shyer person. How do you kind of lean on your libero, like I said, to help you in the communication aspect?
Well, I've always heard that setters should be best friends with their libero, which should be true. That's all we really want. We just want good, consistent passes so we can run our offense really consistently and we can get the players the balls that they need to get.
Yeah, and as a middle who, a lot of times we only see middles play free rotations, which is a little bit different than a setter and libero being in there at all times. How do you keep up with the consistent communication being in there just in the front row?
A big thing is being on the bench. You have to get everyone hyped. It starts at the bench. Everyone's got to get going. We got to go crazy. And when you're in, you got to do what you can do while you're in. Make a move there.
Yeah, and you guys talk about chemistry and that you've worked on it. Can you kind of give, say there's some younger viewers watching right now, some insight and maybe some, tips on how you improve the chemistry of your team? How do you talk to your teammates to, one, improve them as athletes, obviously, because we're all, trying to win games and be the best we can be on the court. But how do you make sure to mend those relationships off the court and make sure everyone stays, tight-knit and happy?
We always try to have a lot of fun, in practices and stuff. And, at team dinners, we always, try to have as much fun as we can. Yeah.
Just keeping things light and fun, especially when you're off the court, yeah?
I think that it all starts in practice because how you practice is how you play. So in practice, we have, drills where we really need to communicate on and we need to talk really loud. And sometimes we get a grade of how loud we are, it's a B- or an A-, and we always try to go for the A, and by the end we need to be as loud as we can, basically.
I think a big thing is everyone's got something going on. You got to just accept that, know your players. There's some people that you got to let them deal with it. Rest have some people you got to lift them up yourself. So I think knowing your teammates, and it doesn't matter what grade you are, you have to make friends with the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. We're all one big team, one big family. Meet those people, become friends with them, and learn how to play with them.
Yeah. Love it. And what have you guys learned so far this year? I know you guys maybe haven't played a ton of matches, comparatively to some of the other teams out there, but what have you learned about just Dakota Valley Volleyball in 2021?
I think that this year it's going to be a really big year about defense and serving. We need to get teams out of system, and the more they get out of system, the more they get jumbled, and that means the more shots and kills we can have, which we are working on a lot because we're not we're not power hitters, but at the same time we're hitters with very, very good shots. So we're gonna what's the word? We're going to use those a lot in the games.
And sometimes, Kate as a libero, you can maybe attest to how frustrating it is when an outside is shotting the ball around away from you, and you're you just hit the freaking ball at me, and I can dig it. So I can definitely see, having multiple shots in your weaponry is definitely huge. But anything else? What else are you guys kind of learning about who you are this season?
I think a big thing for us is just growth. We've had some ups and downs, and everyone's you're going to go through something. You got to figure out how you can build from that, learn from it, and come back better the next time. And I think we all talked about that and opened up about how we were feeling about certain things, what we need to do to improve. And we know we're not a really big team, but a lot of us have played together for so long. We're so close. We're all best friends, and I think that has shown a lot about how Dakota Valley Volleyball is. We're just a big family. It's so fun to play with them.
Yeah, I think you guys covered it all.
All right. Well, last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is one thing you're most looking forward to this season.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to the state tournament because that's always the most fun part. Because we can show that we can get there and that we could possibly win.
My favorite part is probably going to be once we get into the postseason, and it's the pressure's on you a lot to perform well and to play with those really good teams, and I think that'll be a good challenge for us.
I'm just excited. We have such a good school atmosphere right now, a lot of school spirit, and it's so fun to see everyone come out to our games, and they're all proud of us. They tell us how proud they are of how we've been playing, and it's so cool to just go out and have a great game, and everyone comes up and they're just hugs and cheers, and it's so fun. I can't wait for more of those experiences.
Yeah, one of the most positive things about COVID, seemingly getting better is the amount of fans that we've seen this year is just crazy here and everywhere around the state. So that's been really cool for us to see too. Well, Kate, Logan, and Tori, thank you guys for joining us. I'll let you guys get back into your pregame routines, whatever that may be. We're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be back with Coach Miller.
Thank you so much.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're starting to get a little bit of noise in the gym as we get ready for, is it the C match, the freshman match?
Freshman match.
As the freshman match gets ready to get going, and we are lucky enough to be joined by Barry Miller, head coach for Dakota Valley. And Coach, thanks for setting this up for us. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for coming down. This is going to be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, we're excited. Rivalries are important to us, but talk so far. We talked to you at SummerSlam. As you guys had a really nice couple days there, and having to fit some different pieces together. How has the early season been? Just figuring out your rotations and learning about this team.
Really, we're becoming a little more solid in the last couple of weeks. We went up to Lamar's, Iowa, and went 3-1, and lost to number 1 Sergeant Bluff, 13-15 in the third game. So it's taken us a little bit after losing Sophia Atchison to an ACL. She was our leading hitter coming back, and we played around with different lineups, and right now we're pretty satisfied offensively with what we have.
Awesome, and of course the viewers heard that we had your athletes on earlier, and what they really preached about was just how close the team is and chemistry-wise. How do you preach that to them? Do you, I guess, try to facilitate that at all? Is that something that you just kind of push off onto them to take care of, or can you talk about the chemistry, I guess, aspect of the team?
You know, you emphasize team chemistry, but then you got to do it with actions. Little things like we do take their phones away on the bus. So, and it's been a riot listening to them play these different games and talking to each other, you know, getting to know each other. Every trip with the varsity, we go with a different combination in the vehicles. Everything from setting that up, everybody is down here at 3:20, getting the nets ready to go. So being inclusive is probably one of my things that I really preach as far as, you know, team chemistry. And when you're playing pretty good, I mean, your chemistry's pretty good, but and our kids have a high IQ. You know, they can kind of see. A couple weeks ago, we had 3 tough practices, and then we went up to Lamar's and went 3-1, and we beat 2 ranked teams. So, but you got to give credit to the kids and to your seniors who are constantly setting things up. We have pre-game dinners like most teams do, and that's, you know, every week. So,
talk about the expectations of this program, and we've touched on a little bit, but just the program itself, and the seniors who maybe were role players before and now their senior year and stepping up to a bigger role. Just talk about the overall culture of the program.
You know, we're really into development in our program, and our kids do put a lot of time in the off season. Most of them are playing some club volleyball, you know, but it's fun to see the kids develop and move up, you know, from, for example, when Sammy was a freshman, you know, she was playing some back row, and now she's playing 6 rotations. So hopefully the way we practice and the way we train keeps that development going so that we don't end up all of a sudden with nobody back that has any experience.
And the girls talked about being undersized, you know, offensively. How do you talk, I guess, with them about, you know, different shots to use? Is that something, I guess, that you really harp on, or you just tell them to do their best? I guess what, from a coaching aspect, how has that been development-wise, offensively?
We have to have a lot of shots, so we have been working on drills where the only ball they can hit is a thumb-down hit, putting in the roll shots. We've modified our offense a little bit this week, going to a little higher 32 ball to try to hit some line shots. So, you know, drills where they have 15 balls, and we keep track of how many good swings they get out of those 15 balls. But I think your expectations have to be a little bit higher that they can do these things.
Yeah.
So we'll see tonight, because this is going to be the best blocking team that we face this year, besides Harrisburg. So we'll see if all the practice of hitting down, thumb up, thumb down, putting the ball to the pin. We do come from a lot of angles.
Yeah. Talk about just this rivalry and what it's like to have. We're talking about a measuring stick and how the programs probably measure each other, because they know at the end of the year, you know, more than likely you're going to have to get past Sioux Falls Christian if you want to win a state title, and they're probably looking and saying, hey, Dakota Valley is what we need to measure ourselves with. What's it like to have a rival year in, year out like this, and the matches? How do the kids feel about it?
Well, the kids like it because the place will be rocking tonight, and it gets you ready for that postseason environment that you need so much. You know, because the other night we were on the road and we had our parents there, and about 15 or 20 student body kids. Tonight, it'll be wild. So that rivalry is, you know, wherever you go, there's a great rivalry. But man, when you look at what's happened in the last 10 years between the two teams, it is kind of eye-opening and just kind of awesome.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that the girls talked about a lot too, is just how awesome their fans have been this season, especially, you know, getting back to it and being able to come to matches again. I guess, what is one thing that you're really looking forward to this season with the girls that you have on the court?
Just what we're talking about, our offense, just developing. We've always been pretty good on defense, you know, and serve receive. And the fun thing is you're going to see our right side come around and hit a one. You're going to see our middles hitting out. You're going to see, every one of our hitters is so versatile that I can put them in any spot on the net, and we can get some swings from those spots. So hopefully we're going to be harder to time and block because we're not going to run the same thing very often.
Is your schedule more backloaded? Because we talked about, if you look up the rankings and hard points and everything, a lot less matches than like the Sioux Falls Christian, for example. So do you play more tournaments later in the year? I know you have the Pentagon tournament this weekend. So do you have more matches towards the end of the year, middle of the year?
Probably about 2/3 way, and we'll go Saturday to Pentagon, then we'll go to Whole Western and play 5 matches. We went to Lamar's. We got a triangular coming up with 2 teams out of Nebraska. But we have to watch our jumps and our swings because, a couple of years ago we hit down and the ball was dead within about 4 or 5 touches. Now we rally and we keep rallying, so it might take us 10 rallies to get a kill. So when we go to Hull, it's kind of scary because we'll play six matches there.
So you said it sounds exactly like Warner, who's your first opponent on Saturday. So are you telling me that could be like a 3-hour match? Both teams.
Yeah. 87 assists and 95 digs, and that's a fun person.
Well, last question I have, I guess, before we let you go, is just talk about the strength of the schedule a little bit. And I guess I don't know how much you're involved with scheduling matches and who you play when and that kind of stuff, but what does it mean to play these difficult games throughout the season?
Well, it's exciting because, O'Gorman, obviously now she won't be setting probably Saturday because she's off training, but how much fun would that be to play against her? In 2 years, you can say, hey, remember when we played against Oregon? Yeah. We go to that Hull tournament, and that's going to be really good because you got Whole Western, you've got MOC, you've got Floyd Hall, you got to be careful though because you also need a couple matches where it's not that intensity the whole time. But Bill does a great job with our scheduling, and we try to get a mix of different teams. So I went from a school that we played 9 out of 10 weekends. Right. That's all we played was tournaments basically. So this is a little more refreshing because we got games during the week, which is so much fun for the kids. It's a true high school atmosphere tonight.
The last thing I have, what are expectations for tonight? You can walk away with the night, obviously, on a W, but what are you looking for, goals of your team tonight when they go against one of the top teams in the state?
We just don't want to give them big runs. We want to keep our composure no matter what happens, and I think we'll be all right. Sometimes in these big matches, they get so high that they forget about the little things in the game plan. So when we walk out tonight, we want to have said that we left it on the court, whether we win or we lose, and that it gives us a good measuring stick of what do we need to do now in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for joining us. We're going to head to a really quick break, and then we'll be back talking more Sodak headlines.
Hey.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the First Serve Show live, and we are live. We set up wherever they tell us to set up. We have these schools, and right now we are just outside of the action as we wait for the freshman game to get started. So if a camera goes down or a light goes down, we'll just set it back up and keep going. But we're excited to be here again. We're at Dakota Valley High School getting ready for Dakota Valley taking on Sioux Falls Christian in another one of the top rivalries in South Dakota. But there's also a lot more going on in the sport of volleyball in this state, and so now it's time to touch on that. Let's talk about some SODAC headlines as we head in, and the first one is Saturday at the Pentagon.
Yeah, a ton of really great teams and matches to come on Saturday, and I know we've kind of touched on it so far today, but just an excellent, day of volleyball to really learn a lot about a lot of teams. We'll be there covering it, getting to talk and see with a lot of different athletes and coaches, but again, just one of those telling days that is a time that you can learn a lot about your team.
Well, and it's time for teams to get on a roll, maybe get in a rut, depending on how the day goes, because there's going to be a lot of competitive matches and a lot of chances as we look at just some of the teams that will be at the Pentagon. We have ranked teams, we have some teams on the verge, we have some teams just outside of the rankings that have a real chance to do some movement, not only momentum-wise, but also PowerPoint-wise as we start to look at the postseason numbers. And first of all, in the afternoon session, or the AM wave, I guess they would call it, and you take a look at a team like Elkton Lake Benton, right, or even a Parkson Sioux Valley that need to do some moving in their region. A chance for Elkton Lake Benton, or Del Rapids, who's been playing better as of late, for them to get on a roll in their pool and go 3-0. The other wave and the other pool, looking at a Hitchcock Tulare who's gone up against really tough competition. Alcester Hudson, who we've talked about, Howard, Irene Wakanda, just some teams there that looking to get momentum, pick up a couple wins that will help them do a better second half of the season.
Yeah, I think momentum is going to be huge during a Saturday tournament, and you talk about not only getting multiple matches, but these girls get to spend more time together. There's the in-between match time that they get to bond and work on that chemistry, like Coach talked about earlier, like the players talked about. That is just so important, and that we've talked time and time again on. Sometimes in November, the best teams are the teams that get along the best.
Well, and I think with this, you're going to get solid matches, right? And you remember last year, I think we called it the pool of death. Remember with Parker, this Dakota Valley team, Northwestern, O'Gorman, Western Christian, and Parker ends up getting a legitimate State A tournament team, and they go 0-4 at the Pentagon. And so you're going to get good matches. And the other cool thing for us to have all these teams, no venue in South Dakota like that you can have all these teams in one place and you can zip around to different courts. We're excited just to be able to go see so many different athletes, in one setting.
Yeah, definitely a day to look forward to as we're starting to get into the action here with some balls coming into the setup. But why don't we talk about just a few other SODAC headlines here. Some Class B chaos, kind of a tongue twister there, I think. Something that we talk about time and time again, just how close this class is at this point in time, and how fun it is to watch a new number one almost every single week.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I put on Twitter the other night, and I didn't have anybody fact checks me, so I'm guessing we might have been close on this, but I believe in the regular season, the last 3 years, the only team to be ranked number one had been Northwestern, right? And of course, they'd won 2 of the last 3, they had a long winning streak, losing only to O'Gorman. Before that, they were number one all season, and then Warner knocked them off in the state title game. But we've had 4 different number ones the last 4 weeks in Class B, which just has not happened to have that kind of parity in this class. And, sounds like we're beating a dead horse, but we are not, because every week another team jumps out.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to me how, early still we are into the season. We're not even halfway into the season yet, and all these top teams are playing each other. And by the way, there's a new top team every week. I mean, I'm just looking at this graphic with 9 team logos, and there's only 8 of them that are going to make it to state, and there's no way it'll be this 8. Yeah. So it's just every week we have a new team in the mix, and it's just been really fun to see just the competition level has been amazing.
And who is consistent? Now you're talking about Wolsey Wessington, right? They come off the tough loss to Aberdeen Christian. So now how did they rebound, right? And they rebound with a solid win, but they get back rolling again. Or and then you talk about Arlington, who's never been in the rankings, but they've pushed Northwestern, Warner, Wolsey Wessington are their 3 losses. All of them went max sets, either 5 or 3, a couple points either way. They would have been a number 1 team. They've never even been in the rankings. We had Chester finally back in our power poll, but the Sports Writers poll, they're not even ranked, and they swept Warner.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you like debating rankings and who should be where, this is a perfect year with Class B. And we've pulled some coaches around the state as we've been doing our cookie dough deliveries and just talking volleyball, and asked them what they think, and it's unanimous. Like, the coaches are excited.
Yeah, so cool, and just to even, like I said earlier, think to, when it comes postseason, how are we going to battle this out? How are we going to watch other matches? We're just going to want to watch Class B just because how close all these teams are. And I mean, you see a team like Coleman Egan's logo up there, who hasn't been in our rankings just yet, I don't think, and has a brand new team even from last year. I mean, they're a program that's building up every single year.
And we're talking about under the radar. Coleman Egan was under the radar all last season, including with us. They go to the state tournament. They have, a really solid state tournament. And then everybody says, it must have just been a really good senior class. Now they're under the radar again. 1 loss. They've never been in the rankings, either. But very rarely do you look and say you can legitimately have a top 10 in volleyball. Yeah. This year in Class B, you could have a legitimate top 10 with teams going back and forth. And like we said earlier today, a week ago, we were talking about Aberdeen Christian. They're on this list. A week before that, nobody's talking about Wolsey Wessington, right? Nobody's talking about Coleman Egan. It could be a brand new team a week from now that we throw in this list. So Class B chaos for sure, and it's just going to get better the closer we get to November.
Yeah, and I think one thing we love so much about the Class B chaos, not because they're showing it to us, that it just seems like someone else wants to be the star each week, but we just love how it's just a testament to how the level of South Dakota volleyball has grown each and every season. And another testament to that is our next headline, and Bergen Riley joining the I believe U18 national team.
Yeah, it says USA. It's been awesome watching her squad. I didn't get to watch the match today. We're traveling, so I'm not sure how they did, but they're 2-0 and playing. Just following on social media, her parents. And then. We read about it, we heard about it, we're like, yeah, it's a big deal. It really hit me when I saw her in the Team USA jersey, and I'm like, she is one of the 12 best in the nation, and she's playing against the other best from around the world and doing well.
Yeah, definitely hit me too when you see Riley on the back of that jersey, knowing that it's a South Dakota name, and of course, we talk about Bergen as much as we do because she deserves it. Obviously, one of the most talented South Dakota has seen thus far, and just really excited for her, and excited for the teammates to get to watch her and cheer her on. Obviously, too bad that she has to miss a couple matches and weeks of practice, but this is huge for South Dakota volleyball. And by the way, volleyball as a whole. When I was in high school, this wasn't even an option. There wasn't a traveling USA team to go play for during the season, and just cool to see the growth of the sports that you love not only in the Midwest, but in the entire country and in the entire world.
Well, and I think, because we talked, there's another very, very good setter on that team, and they're splitting time, right? So it's not just Bergen in there all the time, and I had a chance to sit down with her a year and a half ago when she went to the very first tryout, and what it really clicked for me that this kid's special is when she sat down, she said, I like going to things like that where I am probably not the best in the gym because I want to learn from the best and I want to know how to grow my game and get there, and she's doing that, with not only the other setter on her squad, but setters from around the world, and she's just soaking this all in and using this fire to improve her game even another level, and I think that's what makes her so special. She is not afraid to push herself, and she's not afraid to say, hey, I'm going to be the best, I need to work harder, and that's a very rare quality to have in a high school athlete.
Yeah, she's definitely got the sponge mentality. She's going there, soaking it all up, and then bringing it back to all of her teammates here. So it's not that she's just going off and having this amazing opportunity. The trickle effect is going to be huge, and I think we're going to see that in the years and even this year for the rest of the season. So exciting, again, to see her in that USA uniform.
And again, if you check her social media, a lot of social media people, her parents have posted it, O'Gorman Volleyball's posted it, but I think it's Volleyball World's YouTube account is live streaming all of their matches as they keep going. So cheer on South Dakota, USA. It's awesome, and good luck, Bergen, from us. And we'll move on to our last topic and kind of why we are in the gym today, but it's challengers needed right now. So far in Class A, Sioux Falls Christian has been the dominant team, dropping only one set this year, and not only their win, or in South Dakota, I should say, they're very dominant in South Dakota play, and who is going to be that team that is going to step up? Is it going to be a cakewalk for them? Is there going to be somebody to push them? And so, we're looking for those other Class A teams that can step up and push Sioux Falls Christian.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, we don't even know until we get into a match. And that's what's exciting about the Sioux Falls Christian and Dakota Valley team is that there's so much history. And we'll talk about the matchup again a little bit later, but you don't know unless you're in the match. So I think, even a team like Madison taking a set off of Sioux Falls Christian can be a telling point that there is a weakness, and maybe a team, another team around the state, we haven't even touched on the West River teams yet, have a little bit of hope or scouting reports to go off of and see some weakness in their lineup.
Well, I think we was talking about challenges needed. We'll learn with Rapid City Christian and Hill City both undefeated. We're going to learn a lot about them this weekend at the Pentagon as they go with their toughest matches of the season. So we'll need to out more. But looking at Class A so far, it's looked like there's a big gap. Sioux Falls Christian and everybody else. It's this time of year that you're looking, and maybe we find that out tonight. Maybe we find that out this weekend. But right now it's looked to be the most predominant favor, I guess, and we're looking for somebody to step up and be that challenger for them.
Yeah, and it's I think that's the kind of contrast between Class B and Class A and Double A even this year is that a lot of those challenging matchups are I don't want to say backloaded, but they're just not at the beginning of the season. And I think sometimes we forget that we're still pretty early on in the season. A team like Dakota Valley, again, just playing within their both teams really playing within their first 10 matches, which is really just the tip of the iceberg at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we move on with our headlines, those are our headlines, and now let's move on to our next session. Tonight there are a couple big matches as we talk about some of that jockeying up and down the rankings and schedule points. The first one, what to watch tonight in Sioux Falls, that O'Gorman team, Bergen Riley's O'Gorman team, taking on a Sioux Falls Roosevelt team that has been hot as of late.
Yeah, I think, when you look at Roosevelt's record here, 9-4 doesn't tell the full story because they've been playing some really good volleyball, and again sticking around that 5-6 mark. As we said earlier, they have the pieces to be a really nice volleyball team, and they have the experience. Liz Donovan, senior setter that we've talked about so much, paired with Anka's Sevingson, who has been so deadly in the middle. They just got to get her the ball. And then that paired with Abby Ward, Maya Vanderbeck, they have all those pieces. I think what they're really going to need to work on and focus on is their defense to be able to set all those powerhouse hitters.
Well, and then you look at that matchup tonight in the middle, especially because O'Gorman's middles are as talented as any duo in the state. And how is Sevingson going to pair up when she goes against Brogan Beck and Bella Steffel in the middle? Also, for O'Gorman, there's the question. Riley's not there, but this is still a very talented team, and it's somebody else's chance to step up, just like they did against Jefferson the other night. And, we forget about it, so it's time for some other athletes to show up, and they will. And so I think Roosevelt's got to be looking at it like, hey, a chance for us to get a really big win. And Roman looking at it like, hey, it's time for somebody else to step up. Who's going to be the leadership? Who's going to be the go-to? All of those will be interesting questions tonight in Sioux Falls.
And I think if you've ever been a role player, if you will, on a very talented team, you're excited for that challenge and you're excited for that opportunity to show the skills you've got, whoever you're playing behind, if you will. Air quotes around that. But just excited to see, watch the playback on that and see the stats and, kind of where the ball ends up going to. But again, a great opportunity for a great team to continue to prove their talent.
Yeah, and one last thing last one we had talked, our question mark with O'Gorman was some inexperience, even though they're talented, some inexperience from last year's state championship team. Well, they've had 6, 7, 8 matches now. Here's a first couple big tests. The other Tuesday night tonight, then this weekend, to see how they've grown up and are they ready to take on, win a few matches without Bergen in the lineup. The other match going on tonight is a rematch, but it's a match of 2 more ranked teams, and that's going to be Big East rivals Garrettson and Chester area.
Yeah, these two played, in the very first week of the season? Was this one of our first matches to watch?
Second weekend, they played in the Big East tournament.
That's right.
And it went 5 sets. And that was, Garrettson, we talk about, Class A, and they were another one of us, a team that maybe hasn't been talked about in the polls a ton. That's their only loss, a 5-set loss to Chester, who is at full strength, right? And that was big. We want to see how they played when they got back. But some senior stars in this match for sure.
Senior stars, yes. We talk about full strength of Chester being back with Brecken Ewald and Jada Kenyon again being that strong lefty. I think, seeing the contrast between those two and exactly how they pair up in the lineup, being able to be in the front row at different times, so they always have, one of those strong go-to pin hitters. But again, one of Garrettson, the only Garrettson lost really at this point. Yep. So excited to see that matchup again and maybe how the matchup differs this time around.
Exactly. And when it went to 5 sets, it was a tight match, and they had come back. Chester came back in that match to defeat them. And we talk about, PowerPoints, and everybody's like, oh, it's so early. I believe I looked, and right now I think Chester would be number 3 in their region, so a quality win over a quality Garrettson team, those extra points that are going to be really important. This is a big match for both of those teams. And Garrettson, just to get back at Chester and just to get their most quality win of the year, and we're back. So those are just matches for us to watch tonight as we head into the big weekend that we've talked about. Let's we had our first, we're still up. All right, let's take just a quick break and come back. If we can take just a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll break down DV Sioux Falls Christian as we are live on our first Serve show from Dakota Valley High School. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It's the First Serve Live show here from Dakota Valley High School, previewing the action all around the state, but specifically Dakota Valley taking on Sioux Falls Christian, number 1 versus number 2 in Class A. And with that, let's break down this matchup just a little bit closer. Let's start with the possible starting lineups for both squads.
So starting on the home side for Dakota Valley, Georgia Vandenhall is that junior middle, so athletic that we've obviously had this year at the Future 50, and excited to see her in action tonight. Opposite her will be Tori Schultz. She was on earlier talking with us, senior middle. Then we got Sophie Tuttle on the outside, Sammy Archer joining her also on the outside, Logan Miller, junior setter, Madeline Stout, senior pin, and then Kate Van Rooyen, again, who you saw earlier, libero leader.
And for the two-time, the back-to-back defending state champion, Sioux Falls Christian, again, number 1 in Class A. They're going to start on the outside at Katie Van Ingham, who we talked about today a little bit. SDSU, able to commit power, strong all the way around for Sioux Falls Christian. They had Sydney Timms, another potential Player of the Year candidate, as one of their middles. Then in the MAC, Lavin Maddox, their second year as a sophomore libero, playing in the back row and anchoring the communication for this team. On the pin is going to be Kyla Van Donkersgood, another senior who surprising all tournament team last year in their state championship run up in Watertown. So another solid, tall weapon for them in the front row. And then Addison Barber, freshman setter, infants maker, and she's a special one to watch and has jumped in and done great things for Sioux Falls Christian. Be impressed with her communication, her intensity on the court, and just how well she feeds all of those weapons in this lineup. And then finally, Ellie Lems, junior middle to work with Tim. So up and down, just all state names, college head athletes. This is an extremely talented and loaded lineup.
I think both teams really have a very even offense. And I think that's mostly a tribute to the strength of the setter. I think we'll see a very strong setter on both sides of the net here with Logan Miller, and then of course of Edison Barber as well. But I think in order to be even, you have to have those weapons everywhere, and that's what we see again with these two token programs who are consistently at the top of Class A.
Yeah, one thing to watch, and not that there's been a lot of chinks in the Sioux Falls Christian armor, but when they struggled a little bit against Madison, it was maybe communication in that back row and just some communication errors. So something to watch who necessarily the leader is. We talked about last year's squad, and we will ask Coach this in a little bit, but last year's seniors were so dynamic and so vocal and emotional, just a little bit more business-like with this lineup, but that as well. And then Mary talked about it with Dakota Valley, their communication and just their defense, and so it's going to be communication on both sides of the ball, how they handle two explosive offenses.
And I think, what the Panther athletes were talking about earlier is just how they push themselves to be emotionally at the top of their game at all times. You see that in the contrast of Sioux Falls Christian being that business-like. I think Dakota Valley might be a little bit more up and down, but if they're up and they have that consistent play and their defense is, working hard, making big plays, that can really upset a talented offense like Sioux Falls Christian. So I think, contrasting some of their strengths can be troublesome for both sides.
Well, one thing Coach Miller had talked about, Harrisburg gave them a lot of trouble with their height, with their block, and this Sioux Falls Christian is just as long and tall as Harrisburg, if not longer. Yeah. And so that will be something to watch. I'm sure they've addressed that, and she talked about coming up with different shots and being able to work around the block. But again, so many things. It will start with first contact in that back row. Yeah. So Van Rooyen and Maddox really important to their prospective teams at showing up the first contact, getting the ball to those offensive weapons. As you see, a lot of times probably the team that can do that the best will be in the best shape.
I think coaches love to say, we got a ball coming straight for us, and we're safe. You hear coaches say all the time, you got to win the safe pass game, and I think that rings true in every single match in the history of ever, but really tonight, again, I can see a Dakota Valley team, if they're just nailing that serve receive pass, they have their choice of weapons, and if they're serving aggressively and get Sioux Falls Christian out of system, that can create some problems for them too, and vice versa. So again, I think we're going to continue to see the good old-fashioned serve receive battle tonight.
Yeah, and I think a staple of both of these programs that we've noticed and opponents have noticed is that aggressive serving game by both teams. So they something to see, and who serve receive can set up the prospective offense to get momentum. But I think it'd be interesting if Dakota Valley can get a hot start and get up on Sioux Falls Christian right away.
Yeah, and that's something that the athletes talked about earlier too, is just being able to serve really, really aggressively is going to be huge for them tonight. So why don't we talk just a little bit about the recent history, I guess, of this rivalry, and just maybe more about just the talent of these coaches. And I know just whether it's third or fourth year at Dakota Valley, but of course a very long coaching history on her side of the net, and then Coach Wassenaar, who we'll have on here shortly, has had such a huge run at Sioux Falls Christian.
Yeah, and so Barry's coached at the collegiate level, club level. Bounce around at different, high school's third year, being at the helm here at Dakota Valley, and has done some really good things in that first year, going to back-to-back state championship matches. One thing you notice, I think, is I was like to give Coach Miller a hard time, but regimented. Remember the state tournament last year? They were down to the second, and those girls understood the warm-up. They didn't have to look. They came out, and they knew by the second exactly what they were going to do, and they looked as focused as any team. So they know the program. It's about going and executing what they've been taught. And then Coach Wassenaar, I believe, 6th all-time in win total in South Dakota history in all her state titles. And you were in the gym with them earlier this year and could talk about the environment of their program.
Yeah, I think what the kids are saying these days, both of these programs understand the assignment, right? That's what the hip, cool kids are saying.
Oh, okay.
You understand the assignment? But yes, getting back to the actual point at hand, I did get a chance to hang out in the Sioux Falls Christian gym a little bit earlier, actually during preseason, during a pretty exclusive varsity practice, so exclusive that Coach had to jump in and pray, and I didn't take any highlights of her because she asked me not to, but I will say that she had one of the higher hitting percentages. So definitely a program, both of these programs really respect their head coach and really buy into the program as a whole, and I think you can see that because of the in and out year after year success of both of these programs. It makes such a difference when you can get all the girls on board into buying into the program.
Well, and I think you keep hitting on a key word, and it's program, and we've talked, it seems almost ad nauseum at times about Sioux Falls Christian, Katie Van Egdom, right? If it's any other program, maybe not a couple AA programs or any other program in the state, her stats are a lot higher. Abby Glanzer last year, they come in and take a role, and then it gets slightly larger every year. Yeah. And it's senior dominated, but they have some very talented athletes that play smaller roles because of the depth of the program, right? Doesn't mean their stats are any worse. It just means that they have a role in the program. And Mary talked about that as well with their seniors, right? And now, somebody that, a woman who takes a larger role every single year, and they build, they have the luxury of not having to throw in a ton of freshmen to play early and play significant roles.
Yeah, and I think you see that this year in Dakota Valley, and when you see them at Summer Slam right after losing Atchison and the huge part that she played, the team is able to rebound from that, and since they've been put in those difficult situations, they know how to react to that. It's not all of a sudden, oh my goodness, I'm going to be on the varsity floor. It's, I've had a taste of this. We play really aggressively in practice. We've play the varsity in drills, I can do this. I can step into this role.
Right. And the competition, I would assume, in the gym, time to time, year to year, that those other athletes are ready when they get their opportunity, right? And so, there was some girls who are stepping into a new spot, a bigger spot. It's always important to see, but the fact that they don't always have to throw underclassmen into play huge roles just speaks to the depth of each program, and that's why you end up playing late into November year after year.
Yeah, and not only late into November, these are actually Dakota Valley and Sioux Falls Christian are one of the only teams to have won a Class A state championship since 2010. So it's 10 straight state championships won between these two teams, and of course each team kind of had their run as Sioux Falls Christians won the last two, I believe, in a row or three. So exciting match to see tonight. Again, both teams know it's going to be a good match, and we can already see the fans in the stands starting to grow. So that's exciting too. But why don't you take a break, and we will grab our Sioux Falls Christian athletes to come talk to us.
Yep, we will be right back.
All right, hey, welcome back, everybody, to our first Sioux show, and we are joined by three seniors from the Sioux Falls Christian volleyball team, so thank you for taking time before your match. First of all, just tell me what's not only this rivalry, but what's it like playing in rivalry matches? Is it different than just a regular match? Do you get more excited about it? Just talk about playing in rivalry matches.
Yeah, I can go first. I think it's just like a lot more energy in the gym and a lot more like fan presence. Like every point, you just know like you have to fight and like fight hard for every point, and I think that just makes it more fun because you're more focused in every play, whereas you're not as focused on like the certain set. So I think it's fun because there's more of a fan presence around.
Okay, talk about is practice any different? I mean, is practice different the week of? We'll just say Dakota Valley because it has to be one of your rivals, right? Is it different that week, or is it just the same?
Yeah, I think the leading up to it is so exciting. Like, it's a really big game like this. It's just like practice is really exciting and like we're fun and practice is really nervous than like all the regular practices. So I think that's fun.
Okay, we'll talk with you. We talk a lot about your guys' schedule, how difficult it is all year, right? And going to the tournaments versus the Iowa schools, which she's had a couple weeks ago. But how does that prepare you guys? Does it keep you sharp knowing that you always have to play well? That as tough as your schedule is, you don't really have any matches off? What does it do? Does it drain you having to know you always have to be your best? What's it like playing your schedule?
I think it prepares us, so like when a moment like that hits us, we're not like shocked by it, but like we thrive in those moments rather than like settle down a little bit, but instead we rise up because like you said, we don't really have a break in our schedule. Like every game's a tough one and every game we have to like play at our best. So I think it's like really good for us, so yeah.
Was it I don't know. As you get old, you forget the years, but last year, 2 years ago, you guys had like 6 losses. And so we came into the postseason as like the number 9 or 10 seed, but we're like, no. Those were all the really, really good Iowa schools. Yeah. And it has to prepare you for big matches like this, and then especially at postseason. Mm-hmm. Would you guys, I mean, would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that.
What is this team's, this year's Sioux Falls Christian team? What's your demeanor? We kind of look from an outsider and say you're a little more businesslike. Are you guys, I mean, I'm sure off the court you're not. Are you goofballs? Are you serious? Are you rah-rah? What's the makeup of this year's team?
I feel like we have a lot of different personalities on our team, but we're definitely a team that likes to like have fun. I'd say we're not totally focused all the time, but we always get the job done and we always have fun doing it with each other. So I think that's something that's huge for us this year. So
what about on the court? Is there one vocal leader? Is it everybody's job? We ask this about every team does, but when you guys get in a rut, is there one person who kind of steps up and says, let's go? Is it everybody's job? How do you speak on that?
Yeah, I think honestly, like our team does such a good job of everyone stepping up when they need to step up, and like if we have a good run in practice or like a rough points in a game, like everyone is willing to step up and like rise to that next level. It's not one person's job. Like we have just done such a good job of creating that like unity and like culture that we want like all the ones to step up.
And Cindy did echo this. Talk about the culture. We talk about just the program, and all of you guys, if you're in different programs, your stats might be bigger, you might have played more when you were younger, but just talk about that ladder of accept a bigger role each and every year. And there's been a long list of athletes who maybe play a little bit as a sophomore, a little bit bigger role as a junior, and then the senior year. Just talk about that in the program.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a big part of like building our program and having the depth we have, because like other people like can't make that game or they're sick or they're injured or something. Like we have the depth to like step up, and I think that really prepares us for big games. And like even in practice, like it's very competitive, and like we're fighting for our spot like every day, which I think is so fun.
Coach Wass and in the gym, is it is it more intense? Are you guys loose? What's the environment of that? You talk about competing every day, but is it a loose environment? Is it she's known for, right, going around giving everybody a high five, the clapping all the time, upbeat, energetic. Is that how practices are as well, like every day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like we do a good job of like balancing both, like being intense like in the play, but yet like staying
So for any of you, you guys now, your entire career, you get won state titles, right? So now it's your senior year. Do you need to put your stamp, right? Like this is your year. Do you guys do anything different? Do you feel any different than maybe you did as juniors, or is it, hey, just state championships the ultimate goal? What's different now that you're seniors?
I feel like when we were like underclassmen, like obviously your seniors are always the people that you turn to. Like they've been in situations like this before, so like as an underclassman when it's brand new to you, that's always somebody that you turn to. So now that that's like our job, I think just being on the other side of it and like being that person that our underclassmen can come to, and just like talking them through the game, helping them stay in it, and just keeping them calm. So yeah.
We always ask this with this talent front line: how does your setter keep you guys all happy? Like, do you tell her if she's not getting you the ball enough, and then Sydney, do you tell her if you feel like you should be? I mean, there's some weapons in this offense. How does she keep you all happy with only one volleyball?
Yeah, I don't know. I would just say coaching.
Yeah, and I also think she does a really good job of working hard at getting everybody the ball and keeping everyone happy too. And I also think like we're all so excited for each other. Like no matter who gets the ball, like we're all so happy for each other. So like if anyone on our team gets a killer, has a great play, or like if Addison has a great play, or anybody, like we're all so excited that it's not like keeping us happy, it's keeping our team happy.
We kind of joke about that, like because I always wondered. Like in football, if you have three really good wide receivers, how does the quarterback get them all the ball? But one thing we have noticed is coach's kind of philosophy is all during the year is to spread out swings, I'm sure, to keep you guys fresh for the end of the season too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tonight, when you guys come in tonight, at the end of the night, win or lose, if you do what, you'll be happy if you do what?
We're big on serve and pass. So if we pass the ball well, everything usually falls into place for us. So our biggest focus has always been serving and passing. So
if you serve and pass well, Sid, anything like that?
Yeah, I would just say like having the energy and excitement every play and every point.
Yeah, I would say those two combined, serving, passing, and energy. Like that's our game. That's what our coaches preach to us.
And it should be a pretty cool environment, right? I'm sure people are driving from Sioux Falls right now and are be here. You guys will have a good crowd. They're going to have a great crowd. So just be able to enjoy this environment. I know I get fired up. I don't even get to play. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank your high school success. We're excited to watch you live tonight, but also the rest of the year, and just keep doing the awesome things you've been doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job, you guys. Thank you.
Hey.
and we're back with Coach Wassner. Thanks for joining us. Just talk a little bit about how you guys' seasons have gone up to this point. I know you guys have gotten off to a pretty hot start, but just talk a little bit about what you've learned so far this season.
Yeah, it's been a great start to the year. The girls are playing well, playing together as a team. We've had a lot of good matches so far, played a lot of good teams. And just really trying to get in the flow of everything, making sure the girls feel comfortable with each other and just getting used to each other.
But you've seen a lot, I mean, your program, and we talk about your program a lot, but what's the mindset, focus, attitude of this senior class, or this team compared to like last year?
Yeah, yep. You know, every year you have a different group of girls, right? They that mix just brings a different personality and drive. But I think these seniors, they're all really driven, and they love volleyball. They want to play hard, and they're just really working at incorporating the younger girls and just trying to figure out how to lead them and what each of those girls need. And so it's been fun to see them, each in their own way as a senior, connect with some of the other girls.
Oh, sorry, did you start? The screen went out, so I was distracted.
We talk a lot about your schedule, and 2 weeks ago, one of the Ireland tournaments, so do playing that level of competition, match in, match out. What does that do? I would for you during the regular season, but preparing you for the postseason.
Right, yeah. Now there's different thoughts and strategies to that, right? Some coaches, they really focus on their seed points, and some coaches want a tough, tough matches. And so that's kind of what we believe is we want to play the best teams that we can day in and day out so that we're used to playing at that level, so we're pushed and we can see what we need to work on. And so we don't worry so much about seed points and, losses and those kind of things, just because we want to keep getting better and working on the skills that we need to.
Was it 2 years ago that you guys came into the postseason, so like the 8 or 9 seed? And we all joke like you may be the greatest 9 seed ever in the history of volleyball. Both will leave unless they have 6 losses or whatever it was. So, but does it drain them sometimes to always be on that high, or do they just learn to play through all the time?
That's our goal. I mean, there's sometimes we went down and played a tough schedule 2 weeks ago. Like, the girls were tired. I think we played 2 matches in a row. We had 1 game off, and then we played 3 matches in a row. And so it was tough. And so there's some of that, but then learning how to work through that, and keep that intensity and that energy. It was a big day for us to learn that, and we played some of our best volleyball at the end of the day. So that was really fun to see. But I just think the more they get used to that, it doesn't train them. It just helps them play at that level all the time.
And so when we watch your team play, we really notice kind of like the business-like mentality almost of your crew, and then they come over and they were just talking about how maybe they aren't the most focused at all times. And then I know I was in the gym earlier, and they definitely like to have fun, but how do you keep them so focused but loose at the same time, especially during those high-level matches?
Yeah, yep. And so again, each team is a little bit different on that. Like this group, some of the girls, as we talked preseason about our goals and what we want things to look like they said that we gotta have fun and be loose. And sometimes you get too uptight and too tense, you don't play well. And so this is a group, they know that. And so, they love to have fun. And you want it to be fun, right? Yeah. And so we try to get that good balance of competitive drills and practice and keeping that energy and excitement and having them have fun, but yet also knowing that playing volleyball at a high level is fun, right? And so getting them to see that and desire that and push for that too.
Yeah, and how do you get them all, to buy in? It seems like each and every player on the court knows their role and completely embraces it and accepts it. Is that something that, you talk to them individually about? Do you kind of let them work on that by themselves? But the chemistry looks really good.
Yeah, it is. It's something, at the beginning of the season, we talk with each girl individually and kind of let them know what their role is, where they're at, what we see, what they can do to improve. And then throughout the year, too, trying to have continual conversations with them and making sure they know, too, they can come and, ask questions and see where they're at. But it's a challenge though, right? Like it's still hard. It's hard for girls maybe sometimes if they don't have the role they want exactly, but just trying to help everyone see we're a team, right? Yeah. And we talk too just about as the body of Christ, we all have different roles and strengths, and just incorporating that into a volleyball team too. It's not always the same, and sometimes we want what someone else has, but trying to learn that God has gifted us in certain ways, and that's what makes our team the best that we can be.
Talk about your staff. A couple weeks ago we were in Warner Northwestern, and we talked about Nora's staff being the same, and the same things are taught. Talk about the continuity and just the trust factor you have to have because we're with you a long time.
Right? Yeah, it is. It's huge. We have a great coaching staff. And we have so much fun together, right? Like we have a couple coaches that just volunteer their time because they want to be a part of it. You know, Coach Will has been here for quite a few years, and he had a long history at Lincoln and then came to Sioux Christian. So that, that continuity, like you said, is really important, and he knows the game and brings so much. And we've had a few different freshman coaches, but a lot of them have stayed on in some capacity, so they're still around. And even our freshman coach this year is new, but she's been in the program coaching 8th grade for quite a few years. And so, just knowing what the program is and what we're teaching is great.
What is environment? Mary talked a little bit. She's like, hey, I've been in a program before where we played every single weekend and that's all we played. But it's neat to play these Tuesday, Thursday matches where the student body gets involved. And what's it be like tonight? Because it'll be loud in here.
Yeah.
And what's that like just knowing it's a rivalry match and it's going to be a big crowd and the Herons back to that to show up a little bit?
Yeah, those are fun nights, right? And that atmosphere is great. So, it's a little bit of a drive for us, so we hope we get some student body and a decent crowd, but I'm sure they're going to bring a ton. We were at Jackson County last week, Thursday. I mean, they just packed the gym. They had so many people there, and it was a fun atmosphere. Just to have that energy and excitement. Those Saturday tournaments too are great. You get a lot of games in, but it's usually parents, right? They're watching, and so it should be a lot of fun tonight.
That's good. That's the question I would have for you. We always every year we talk about athletes in the program taking a step to a little bit bigger role, right? Yep. And how we don't really ever focus on stats because like Katie Van Agen, right? It's not a program, but it has not big stats somewhere. Talk about how this is. I'm trying to think how I want to word it. How do they grow in each year to just a little bit more responsibility, and then their seniors will take that strong role and that big role.
Yeah, and that's been something that it takes time, right, over years. And what I've loved over the last few years is we've had the older girls take a kind of a younger girl just on their own under their wing and help train them. So Katie had Abby Lanzer, a couple of years ago when she was a sophomore, just take her under her wing. And now Katie's doing that to a Peyton Hopma. And, it's just fun to see them, and then they kind of see what that looks like, and then they're ready to do that for other girls. Just that concept of knowing we're a team, right, and we're balanced, and your roles adjust, and like you said, they grow into it. They learn and realize what they need to do and bring each year. And some of that is maturity too, right? Like these girls mature, and it's so fun to see that over the years.
Awesome. Well, last thing I have, easiest question all day, I promise. What's one of the biggest things that you're looking forward to this season?
Yeah, it's just so fun to get to know the girls and just connect with them and spend time with them and see the girls and the team develop this year, because every year is different. And so I'd say that's the thing, just building those relationships.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck here tonight. We'll get you back on the coaching floor doing your what you do best, but good luck tonight, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, hey, really want to join you as we get ready to go down the home stretch for our first Serve show. I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. Again, you can watch the replay at any time on liveticket.tv.adrenaline, and we appreciate it and appreciate you telling other people about it as we continue to grow this into hopefully more and more episodes down the road, but just a way to kick off a great night or day, whatever it might be, of volleyball. It's a little pre-match volleyball show that we do. We enjoy doing it, and it's really cool to get into a school like Dakota Valley. We're in Warner to see some of the people, to get out of our office a little bit. It's cool to be on location today. A little extra challenging, dodging the volleyballs, but it's been fun. So if you like what we're doing, please tell other people about it. Give us views. The replay will be up. You can go back and watch this as often as you like, and we appreciate it as we continue to just grow our coverage and try and make it a little better week in and week out. With that, we need to move on to just another one of our segments, and it's the Who's Hot segment. South Dakota volleyball. This was very difficult this week to pick the 6 teams that we landed on. I felt like there could have been 16 that we could have talked about, but with Who's Hot and staying hot, some of them. So here's our Who's Hot list for this week. Hey, why don't you start us off?
So it feels like we've been harping on him a lot, but we have Bridgewater Emory here taken off the list because when you talk about a team who's been hotter than not dropping a single set all year in Bridgewater Emory. Their perfect season continues after probably the peak of the season until postseason, of course, this past weekend, taking on and sweeping Chester, who had just swept Warner. So Bridgewater Emory earns this very first spot on our Who's Hot list.
After that, Knights overtake number 1, and they bolt into the rankings. Avenue Christian, first time being ranked in the Sports Writers poll, our power poll, after they knock off previously undefeated and number 1 Wolsey Wessington, and so they've won 11 straight matches, I believe.
Third on our list is Platte Geddes Panthers. They beat Northwestern this past week, and then also have been playing a lot of grinding volleyball. Have really had to grind out those wins in multiple sets as they top Burke also in 5 this past week. But they earn a spot on our Who's Hot list, especially as they topped Northwestern last week.
Yeah, and number 1 as of right now in the Class B power poll. However, we're better get clarification on exactly what we're saying now, but on the power polls, they would be the number 1 seed right now in Class B heading into postseason. So Platte Geddes definitely on a roll, undefeated. And another undefeated team, the Washington Warriors, another team that's been on this, just playing a 3-0 match that wasn't necessarily easy against Pierre last week, and then another 3-0 sweep of Harrisburg on Tuesday night. Our Warriors continue to roll, and they're doing it with defense, which is new for them to have the defense leading their offense, but they continue to stay undefeated.
Yeah, Washington's been a really fun team to watch this year. I think not that they surprised us with their talent by any means, but definitely more surprising consistency-wise. I mean, they have just been in and out, very solid all the way around. for the Warriors.
Well, and I think before we move on, just to interject on that, I think what coaches actually, Coach Schroeder, is happy about is they haven't always won pretty. I mean, they've grinded out some games. They've struggled in games and come back. They've done some things that you'll probably need to do in a postseason run, and they've showed that they can win playing their best. They've shown that they can come back from 0-2 against solid opponents. They've shown that they can play a little bit sloppy and turn it around, and so that's got to be positive signs for Washington. They're winning all kinds of ways, and they know now that they can win when they're maybe not always playing their best volleyball.
Yeah, I think speaking of bouncing back, we have our next team on the list, Pierre, who was swept by Washington and kind of was up and down during that match. They come back and sweep a Lincoln team who is very, very talented in their own right. So impressive, again, bounce back by the Governors. Yeah,
it continued to be the class team of the ESD so far this year, and we thought highly of them. Off to only a one-loss start, a one setback at Washington, but continuing. This is a young team that is battling, with some veteran teams in AA and doing just fine. So exciting team to watch, just with their energy, and now the talent and experience is starting to catch up to that as well. So Pierre stays hot, and then toss-up between Rapid City Christian and Hill City, but rest of the team, the Comets, are still perfect. As the Rangers are, I guess we're going to put both teams in there, but we'll face their toughest tests on Saturday when they come to the Pentagon tournament.
Yeah, and I think, both Coach Miller and Coach Rossner touched on that as they were talking with us, is just how important it is to challenge the girls and challenge their athletes and to be able to work through those things together. So a pretty big weekend coming up for those West River Comets and Rangers.
Yeah, and so we'll see a lot of shuffling interest to see who's on this list a week from now. But I guess other coaches would say the only thing that matters is if you can get on this in November, you're doing something right. But a lot of teams starting to play some of their best volleyball now that we're a little over a month into the regular season. Hey, before we get ready to wrap things up and put our final touches on it, let's just talk about tonight, something you're looking for with Dakota Valley Sioux Falls Christian.
I'm going to really be looking at the defense of both teams. I can't lie, I've always been a defensive-minded defense lover. I think those big digs can make a way bigger difference than a big kill can sometimes. So I think on both sides of the net, if Sioux Falls Christian can really get their defense in check and dig some of those Dakota Valley shots that they're moving around the court, that's going to frustrate the Panthers. And I think on the other end, if the Panthers can dig up some of Sioux Falls Christian's talented attackers, that's going to frustrate Sioux Falls Christian. So I'm going to be really keyed in on the defense.
I'm interested as well to see, as Coach Miller talked about, how Dakota Valley does versus the block of that tall front line of Sioux Falls Christian. Also, the start, and I know it's a long, but I think it's so important to see if Dakota Valley can get off to a good start to get some confidence, to get some momentum, and maybe put Sioux Falls Christian back on their heels and just see how they can respond, right? I think if they fall behind early, it might be difficult, and because they still are a younger team. So the start for Dakota Valley is what I'm going to be interested in, and also just to see, do they mix their shots around? How do they do against that taller front line, which is what Coach Miller said they've been working on.
Yeah, and I think you touch on something so important that I think we're going to see a lot of tonight, and is how people respond. How do these girls respond to being challenged? Because I guarantee it's not going to be on either side 25-0. There's going to be challenges, especially with a championship matchup between these two and rematch between these two. A friendly rivalry, but you can just feel it building in the air how tough these two teams are. So I'm excited to see as well how each teams respond in their own right.
And it's there was a little bit of letdown the state championship match last year, right? And Sioux Falls Christian just and I punched them in the mouth right away, and Dakota Valley never had a chance to really recover. And Sioux Falls Christians, they ended that dominating run, but you have two veteran coaches, right, who know how to make changes with whatever personnel they have and how that personnel is playing, but how they manage kind of that psychological part of the game. And on both teams, I'd be interested to see how Sioux Falls Christian does if they start out slow, right? And what if they are in a hole, and what they have to do, and the crowd gets into it, and vice versa. What can Dakota Valley do? Can they, play better than they maybe did against the Harrisburg match? And we talked about it earlier. We're going to find out a lot about Dakota Valley between today and Saturday, and I think Coach Miller probably feels the same way.
Yeah, we're definitely bringing our Dakota Valley textbooks out, if you will. And I think same thing goes on the Sioux Falls Christian side. We're going to learn a lot about them tonight. But again, they've played more volleyball up until this point, so I think they've learned more lessons maybe. But again, still always a challenging matchup between these two.
Absolutely. We want to thank, we get out of here just a couple minutes early, but we want to thank Dakota Valley High School and Coach Miller for allowing us to come in today and set up, and just this rivalry that we are so excited for. Again, if you're a potential sponsor and would like to partner with Adrenaline Volleyball to be a naming sponsor of this segment or other segments that we do, we would love to have you help us continue to grow our coverage and grow our promotion of this sport and its awesome athletes. And so please just reach out to us if you would like to be a naming sponsor or a segment sponsor. We appreciate everybody that's partnered with us, and we'll continue to do so. So, hey, I think that's it for us as we hit the road. Everybody make sure you get a chance, check out this match or any of the awesome matches going on tonight. We will be at the Sanford Pentagon on Saturday getting highlights, getting interviews, and so a lot of coverage on Saturday that we will post on our social media, and then also in our Monday show next week.
Yep, thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on your screen sometime soon.
Take care.